Okay, so we're going to take a timeout here from the stream because people are saying that they don't understand tempering. And in the early game, and honestly, a lot of it even bleeding into the late game, this is really the only thing that determines your power. So when you have a brand new character, you can get your gems, you can re-roll your gear, you can put the legendary powers on your gear. None of that is even close to as powerful as tempering, especially with the mistake that Blizzard made today, letting your tempering recipes carry over. I actually don't expect this to stay in the game. Like I think they've acknowledged it in the campfire that they're aware of how powerful tempering is. But anyway, I want to show you how it works. Okay, so let's say you have a character. It doesn't matter what character. This is a rogue. It makes no difference. It applies the same logic to every class. Let's say I was playing in the early game. Let's say I'm in World Tier 2 and I want to go clear the capstone. But every time I go into the capstone, I just keep dying and I can't kill anything. I don't understand how everyone is clearing it so easily at such a low level. Okay, so if your gear is yellow or better, so legendaries and yellow, you can temper it at the blacksmith. And when you're playing in World Tier 1, by the time you're, I don't know, if you're playing in Helltide and you go get your class mechanic and you open some chests, you should get some tempering recipes. And further, you should get the tempering recipes that you need. The ones that are really powerful, which I'll show you, they're pretty common to drop right away in the game, which is probably how it should be. The mistake that Blizzard made is when you go for them, you see under where it says natural finesse, it says legendary. You're not supposed to get the legendary version of this pattern until the end game. But if you had it last season, you start with it, which is hilarious. Normally, you just have the blue version, but it's still a crazy damage increase as I'm about to demonstrate. So go to the blacksmith, temper, and if your gear is not at least yellow or legendary, you can't temper it. So your first priority is get a yellow in every slot. If you have some obols and you're missing a yellow, oh, you don't have a yellow hat, okay, go here, boom. It's easy being a streamer sometimes, right? Okay. You go over here, temper. Now, there's a million different recipes here, and you go into the end game and you read your Maxroll guide, and every single thing has something different. We're going to do the PoE strategy here. We're going to take out 99% of the bullshit. There's only 3 recipes that you should be looking at. So for weapons, jewelry, and gloves, you can get natural finesse. Pretty easy to understand. Damage, additive damage all the time. Damage to crowd controlled, usually not the right choice. Damage to close if you're always in close distance, or damage to distant if you're always far away. So you'll notice the damage to distant is a much higher magnitude than all the other ones. So if you're playing Firewall Sorcerer or Chain Lightning Sorcerer, where you're usually never near them, damage to distant is godly. Look how much extra damage it gives you, and you can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these on your gear. So imagine 230, 230, 230, 230, 230, 230. I mean, it's completely busted. Which is why Blizzard people are going to say, Rax, you got it nerfed, you piece of shit. They already know. They set it on the campfire. It's way too strong, especially since you get the legendary version. Another very, very strong tactic I believe it only works with weapons, so you can only put it on these 3, is Elemental Surge. Lucky hit, 40% chance to do 8,000 damage. So you want to know what you can do? You can put that on your weapons and just spam your generator. You can even do something where when you go into the capstone, you can just pick whichever one either attacks the fastest or has the highest lucky hit chance and just spam it. And the moment that elemental surge procs, they die instantly because doing 8,000 damage at a low level is completely busted, right? So again, you might only have the baby elemental surge and not the legendary elemental surge. It's still insanely strong. That completely solves your damage portion. So then you may say, well, Rex, that's fine, but I die. The monsters are like level 50 and I'm at 20 and I get hit and I die, right? So you temper your pants, your chest, and your helmet, and you go for worldly endurance, and you're praying to hit life. If you add these life values onto your character, it's a huge defensive increase. Okay, so life, 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 and then for boots, you can throw whatever. Boots, the tempering doesn't really matter. You can just throw movement speed. Okay, so let's put this into practice, and I will temper this whole character very quickly. So let's say I want one. I'm gonna go with a mixture. I'm gonna go one elemental surge proc. Okay, there it is. You can try to get it close to 8,000. I mean, 7.2 is really good. You don't have to. It'll carry you anyway. Offensive, natural finesse. I'm playing barrage, so sometimes I'm distant, sometimes I'm close. It's kind of like this mid-range attack. Maybe I'll take a roll of each. Percent damage would be fine because that would apply all the time. Natural finesse, I just don't want damage to crowd control. Okay, I have a damage to distant roll. Good enough. By the way, in World Tier 4, you can put 2 tempers on everything, but not in the beginning. You'll only be able to put 1. So I have 1 damage to distant, 1 damage to close. There we go. A good balance. Natural finesse again. Another damage to distant. I'll take it. Need to balance it out probably with another damage to close. Damage to crowd controlled. I don't want it. Go again. Damage to distant. That's too many. Damages to distant. Percent damage. That applies all the time. That's good. Might take one more close roll if I can get it. And they really want me to be fighting far away here. Okay, another damage to distant. Come on. Okay, and that's perfect. That's close. That's a good balance. And then one more on gloves. Damage to close. Okay. Maybe. Damage to distant. Okay, maybe. But whatever. Let's go with it. Okay, now we need to hunt for worldly endurance, and we want life. Percent armor, garbage. We want life. 3 choices. Life, beautiful. And then we go to the chest piece. Here we go. Life, beautiful. The boots don't really matter. You can try to throw movement speed on it with natural motion. That'll be the first temper that you get. We're trying to get movement speed here. Movement speed after killing an elite, not as good, but whatever. Then you'd go over here and say, oh, dang it, I couldn't put life on my pants because they're not yellow. Okay, gamble for a pair of pants. Easy. So nice to be a streamer. Okay, thank you, Blizzard, for keeping me on the streamer server for the video. Temper in. Worldly endurance. We want life. Okay, dodge chance. Add life. Easy. So I just gained. What did I gain? That took me 60 seconds. 470 life, 380 life, 470 life. That probably more than doubled my HP pool. Okay. Every time I lucky hit 40% chance, I'm going to hit them for 7,000 damage. It's just an instant death. They just die. Gone. It will also murder the curator. I have 106 damage to distant, 206 damage to distant. Okay. And then, what is it? 97. So it's 100 minus 3. So 303 damage to distant. And then if they're close to me, I have 55 and 49. Okay, that's what, 104. And then 36% damage all the time. So just a massive damage increase to everything. Close, distant, percent damage, and I more than doubled my tankiness. It's that easy. And when you're first starting out, you might not have a ton of materials, so temper everything one time first, especially your offense. And then I'll give you another hint. If you're doing Helltide, you're level 25. You're ready to go to the capstone. Whatever you do, don't go to the blacksmith and salvage your gear before you temper. Because, let's just pretend like these pants were yellow. If I have enough materials to temper my pants, so I go here and I temper these pants, and let's say I brick them. I go, whatever it is, 4 times, and I don't get health. A yellow pair of pants in here, you could try again. This 500 life is going to be worth more than almost any legendary power you can get. So if you completely brick all the rolls, it's nice to have a backup in your inventory. If you come in from the Helltide and you salvage everything and then you temper, well, then you're at the mercy of whatever you get. That's how you become a god early game, and that's how you just obliterate the Curator and the starter World Tier 3 dungeons, and you do the same thing for the World Tier 3 capstone, same strategy, and then in World Tier 4 you can have 2 tempers. So this weapon has Lucky Surge, and then you can add the offensive one. Okay, and I have damage to crowd controlled. Maybe I don't crowd control very well. Okay, do something else. Okay, damage to close, and I'm done. Did that make sense? Did that explanation make sense?